Thank you. Oh, you know what?
With that, we're going to go ahead and take a break, and we're going to come back with our guest, Mr. Randy Chapman. The song that we're going to play right now is called "Shallow," and we'll be back in just a few minutes on the Will and Thunder Show. All right, welcome back to the Will and Thunder Show. That was Shallow by the one, the only Randy Chapman, guitar virtuoso of Brevard County, Florida. What's going on, Randy? Randy?
Hello there. Come on in.
Randy, are you there?
I guess we don't have him in yet.
It looks like he's on, according to my board. Hold on. Randy Chapman, are you there?
We've had a few technical difficulties with this caller situation the last couple of weeks here.
Yeah, we have. I'm sending him a message on Facebook. Yeah, that was a... I like that song.
Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, actually, I listened to a little thing on YouTube earlier today. It was kind of a montage of what was coming out, I believe, on this CD right here. And there are so many different styles and influences in this thing. And they're all, I mean, from what I've heard, it sounds excellent.
What's up, fellas?
There he is.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, what's going on? I don't know what it was. What's going on, Will? How you doing, brother?
Pretty good. I was sitting there talking to the man on Facebook. Are you there? What's going on?
yeah, I seen that. I saw that. How's it going, Thunder?
It's going good, Randy. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Listening to you guys debate football and Redskins and gay people.
Actually, we weren't really debating football. It was more or less, these things happen to tie into football.
Exactly.
Right.
But hey.
So anyway, how you making it, man? Got this new CD coming out, man. How you feeling about it?
Well, actually, it came out back in January, the second week in January, and it was a long time coming because I had all kinds of different things going on in the last couple years medically and just writer's block and everything you could think of happened. So it took a long time to get this one finished, but it had been done, almost. I mean, like 80%, 75%, 80%, 90%, and then I would stall out for 2 or 3 months and just couldn't finish it for whatever reason. So it was actually supposed to come out back in October, and finally got it down to where I had like 3 or 4 songs left at the end of the year, and I was like, I got to get this. This has got to get done. It's way overdue. And I think it came out in January 11th. I think somewhere in there, 13th. It was the second week of January.
Nice. And where can people pick this up at?
Right now, just you can get it on iTunes. You can get it on Amazon, CD Baby, CD Universe. It's all over the internet. I sell it. You can get a hold of me, on Facebook or email me, so I can sell it directly to you.
Excellent. You've got
we're going to have the
avenues right there.
We're going to have the link on the Facebook page up for the show. We're going to have the links on there. But I also want to tell people, we mentioned at the start of the show about this little contest that we're going to be having tonight. Basically, you people, the listeners, and based on what I'm looking at here, we've got quite a few people just listening, plus the people that aren't in the chat room. So I mean, there's a good amount of people out there listening. Call in. The telephone number to call in is 646-716-6135. You press 1 to get into the queue to talk to us. Stump us. Stump Randy. Stump Randy. It can be questions about basically heavy metal, or if you know Randy personally, it can be Randy questions. If you stump Randy, or he's going to defer to us, and if you stump all of us, you get an autographed copy of Randy Chapman's new CD called Cursed. And
you there?
Yeah.
Will.
Okay. All right, you paused everything. I'm like, okay, wait a minute here.
I thought I heard somebody else. I thought I heard somebody else starting to talk. but yeah, it'll be an autographed CD of
Randy Chapman's new CD.
I'm having a brain fart tonight.
Apparently, Will's been drinking.
Me?
Oh, mercy. He doesn't drink, he swills.
Oh, I see. No,
but anyway, yes. But as I was telling Will just a little bit ago, I went on YouTube today, and you had that little montage, little prelude to the CD that you have on there.
Right.
Man, it's wide open. There's so many. I mean, it's awesome. What was your inspiration on this? I mean, it's just unbelievable. There's so many different styles of songs. I mean, it's a variety, which is awesome to me because I hate when you go out and buy a CD and every song sounds the same, like AC/DC. It's wide open, man. It's awesome.
I don't know if there was any specific inspiration. I mean, I pretty much like, hard rock and metal ever since I can remember. But I like all kinds of styles of music. So I just try to, play whatever felt good to me. I mean, I think you're probably referring to some of the, like there's a classical song on there. There's a like a country, not country, but more like southern rock kind of feel song on there.
Right.
There's a ballad on there that's kind of an 80s kind of power ballad kind of song. There's all kinds of different stuff. I mean,
even the heavy stuff each has different influences. I mean, or that I've heard in there. Look, I listened to that little montage, and I got on YouTube, and I listened to like old Sepultura, and then I put some Testament on, some Ministry, and I'm just like, there's so many little things in there. I mean, even some Metallica influences I heard in there. The one song I was listening to, you got a little guitar pick thing that's reminiscent to Fade to Black almost.
That's probably the classical one that you're thinking of. That's
Yeah,
all classical guitar?
Yeah, well, and you said this montage, it only had 5-10 seconds,
right?
Piece, from each of these songs. But from what I heard, I was like, man, this is awesome. I mean, and it changed up as you went along. It was awesome.
Yeah, that one, that's a little classical guitar piece. There was actually two that were going to be on it, but I left one off at the last minute because I couldn't ever record it properly, and I was never happy with the way it was turning out. And and I'm kind of glad I did in a way, because the song that went in its place was the power ballad called Ghost, and it's a duet between me and a friend of mine named Laura Moore, and she sang on it with me. I'd never done a duet with anybody before, and it just came to me one day that, hey, maybe I should try this and see and it came out beautiful. It's a really great song. But there's some other stuff on there, like you said, like there's stuff with keyboards, there's stuff with, organs and like Deep Purple-ish type stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on there, and as I said, from what I heard, I love the diversity in it.
Yeah, that's what I try. I try to just do whatever, if it sounds good, then I throw it in there. If it doesn't, I leave it out, or change it, or because I think there's one song on there that had it has an organ piece on it, and originally when I wrote it, it didn't have an organ piece on there. So at the last minute, I went, what this needs? It needs an organ. So I threw it in there, So, and there's, some of the lyrics, there's like at least two songs I know right off the top of my head that a friend of mine that helps me write lyrics from Indiana, his name's Mike Riggins. He's been a friend of mine for many years, and he helps me write lyrics sometimes. He wrote two songs on here with me, and, that kind of helps me dictate what the mood and the music's going to be, because, he'll send me stuff, and I'll go, wow, this CD is really dark, and it's, I don't know how to explain it. It's just dark. It's kind of, in a way, can be almost depressing. But, it's coming from a place where, I was writing about some things that were happening, and, how I felt at the time, and I'm glad it's done, and it sounds really, really good, and a lot of people who have heard it say it's the best one so far. This is my fourth CD, so, I don't know what the next one's going to be. I haven't thought about it yet. I'm kind of taking a break from it while I'm, doing some stuff with some other people right now. So,
well, when did you start when did you start the album?
This one was probably about 2 years ago, and it was it was a long time ago, and I just, like I said, I'd do a song here, and there's other songs. There's 13 on the album, and I did that on purpose because of the whole cursed idea, and and the black cat on the cover, and everything was kind of,
the black cat, yes, exactly.
There were other songs, though. There was probably about, 20 songs, and so I had to wheedle it down to the 13 to make it 13 to be kind of superstitious, like, The black cat is my sister's cat, and I had this great picture of it, and, I just thought it looked really cool, and it kind of went along with 13 tracks, and Curse was the title, and Black Cat.
Right. Well, I heard once that music is what emotion sounds like, and so there's nothing wrong with being dark, because when you're in a space there, I mean, that's what music is. I mean, it's how to express yourself through sound.
Well, there are some songs on here that are totally, autobiographical. They're about me. And then there's other songs that I just, you just make up. They're not about nobody or anything. You just put it together and the words work or whatever.
Exactly.
So.
Now,
I've got the Amazon. What?
Just go ahead, Bill. I'll ask you in a second.
Okay, I've got the Amazon link up. You can only, am I correct, or am I not looking in the wrong place? It looks like you can only get the MP3 on Amazon.
I think so, yeah. I think Amazon just does MP3s. If you want the actual CDs, you can get those from CD Baby. and I think CD Universe and me, of course. They will be going up on my website once I get it all finished, and probably PayPal and all that stuff too. But a lot of people, some people, how it is nowadays. Some people like to have that physical copy in their hand, and some people, they're okay with just downloading the.
Exactly.
So.
Well, I'm an
it's a digital era.
Guy. I'm an MP3 guy. I don't necessarily have.
I like CDs myself. I like to have the CDs.
Oh, really? But I just posted the Amazon link on the show page on Facebook, and I was looking. That's why I brought it up, because I was looking for the place to get CDs, and I couldn't find it. But it's all good.
Well, I'll give you another example. Will, you were talking about the diversity of the songs. There's a song on there that's kind of has a southern rock flavor to it, and I grew up as a big Lynyrd Skynyrd fan. A lot of people don't really know that about me because they think I'm a metalhead, but it's called The Chosen One, and that song I wrote about being a vampire, how everybody thinks it's great nowadays, and I was writing more about how much it must suck to be a vampire because you never die, and everybody around you keeps leaving you.
Right.
So it was kind of like how it was not so glamorous to be a vampire, it wasn't so great.
Which, that kind of brings me to a true vampire movie, in my opinion, not these stupid Twilight movies, but Interview with a Vampire, Brad Pitt.
Exactly. It was
exactly. Why'd you do this to me? I'm forever beautiful and everything, but I'm forever alone.
Yeah, that was
exactly.
Brad Pitt's character, exactly. Yeah, he was always questioning Tom Cruise, well, how could you do this to me? Exactly. That was kind of the same idea I had when I wrote that song, was from that movie and that whole idea. Man, that must really suck to just be cursed, again, there's that word, to,
right.
walk around and never be able to get away from it,
Exactly.
Well, the thing is,
exactly.
Another movie about it, and this is kind of ironic, because you've got these immortals. I'm talking, of course, about Highlander, but you've got these immortals,
oh, yeah.
and they're killing each other to obtain the prize, and of course that prize is death.
Yeah.
But after they've been around for so many hundreds or thousands of years, of course, death is like, come on, get me out of here, please.
Enough's enough,
There's some other stuff on the CD that, the classical piece that you referred to that sounded like Fade to Black, that one's called Immortal Beloved. That one was kind of inspired by somebody that I was close to, and I just needed I was always, everybody knows I'm a big Randy Rose fan, and, he used to be into classical guitar, and I took up classical guitar as a kid, and I got away from it when I started playing rock and metal. And I just kind of I always wanted to get back to it. And about 3 years ago or so, I finally went out and bought a classical guitar and started studying theory and all that stuff. And I started writing. I've got about 5 pieces. In fact, that's something that I would really like to do, is a classical, guitar album. Probably I might do that next. I've got 5 pieces now that I could record. And but that one stood out, and I really wanted to put it on the album. And everybody who's heard that song really loves it, and I needed a title for it, and like I said, it was wrote about somebody who was really close to me, and or still is, and it just kind of sums it up, Immortal Beloved, And then there's
absolutely.
Then there's the opening track is the one I think that kind of freaks a lot of people out. It's a song called Till Death Do Us Part, which was actually the title of my first CD. And I always love that title, Till Death Do Us Part, because most people think of it, when you're getting married, Till Death Do Us Part thing.
Right.
I actually read a story on the internet. It's a true story. This is where we start losing callers. And,
no, not at all.
Well, you'll see why. It was about an older couple that they would watch TV together every night. They would have dinner together every night, and they'd be sitting there in their easy chairs, And one night the guy died, and they had been together for so long that the woman couldn't bear to not be with him anymore. She didn't want to, bury him, didn't want him to be gone. She wanted to keep him there. So she did. She kept his dead body there.
And
every night watching TV with him and, acting like he didn't pass. And it was a real news story I read on the internet, and I thought that was just really something bizarre and out there. Like, oh, man, I got to write about this. So that's where that song came from. And right now people are going, you sick freak. No.
I mean, if that happened, it was the last story I heard a couple months ago. What about the guy whose wife passed away, and he promised her that he'd never leave her and would never leave her alone. So he had her buried in his front yard.
Yeah, I did see
and
that.
They made him put her in a cemetery. They made him dig her up out of his front yard because some neighbor had a problem with it, which is such bullshit.
Yeah. And then there's probably there's some other songs like the song "Shallow" you just played a minute ago. That actually was wrote a few years ago, about 3 or 4 years ago, and I was going to put it on my last CD, but for whatever reason, I don't know why I didn't put it on there. I think maybe I had already had too many songs, and people had heard it before because it was already recorded. Now, on this CD, I re-recorded it, and I thought, I got to put this on this new CD. So it was the lead-off single, and it came out back in October, but it's actually about somebody from my life, too, and I can't tell you who because that wouldn't be fair to them. But they are shallow, so...
Right.
I've got a couple of songs like that.
yeah.
Exactly.
8 songs, right? And then there's, there's a song called Devil in Disguise. That's kind of like the Jimmy Swaggart type of thing, like where sometimes the devil is the person you least suspect.
Exactly. And I've known one of those personally on a high level.
Right.
That,
right. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. The people that, like say, like a doctor, somebody of authority, or a police officer, or whatever, a preacher, or whatever.
Right.
Well,
a preacher.
Going back to the till death do us part. You both are going to laugh at me for this, especially Thunder, who knows that I used to be a karaoke host and I used to hear this song like constantly. He stopped loving her today.
Yeah.
I never really paid attention to the lyrics of that song. Because, it's one of these slow, old-school country songs. And, but, I mean, if you actually sit down and pay attention to the lyrics, those are probably some of the deepest, heartbreaking lyrics ever written, about, this guy just kept holding on because he still loved this woman, and finally he died, and, well, he swore he'd love her until he died, and he stopped loving her today. I mean, that's another one of those songs that kind of goes along with what you were talking about to death do us part.
Well, I have a couple of songs that are like that, so I'm glad you brought that up. There's one called October Rust that's kind of a breakup type of song, but all my songs they got that kind of rock metal edge to them, so you can't really tell that they're really love songs, and they're dark. And
well, okay, now on that montage, I heard that lyric.
October Rust.
October Rust. Which I thought was, I think it's a genius phrase right there, because October Rust can mean so many different things right there.
Well, I can't take credit for that. That was Peter Steele from Typo Negative. So, they had an album. Yeah, they had an album called October Rust, and I just liked that title.
Well, what I said with that is, that could be, go ahead.
He lives in Florida. He doesn't really. He doesn't get to see the changing of the leaves.
I know that.
It's like rusty-covered leaves.
But see, he was smart enough to know that in the lyric it does say October's rust is in the trees. See, so I do know. Yes,
that's what okay, thank you very much. Yeah. That's where I'm catching you. I was like, man, you know what? That's pretty cool. Instead of, that's a good way of portraying a change of season. October's rust is in the trees. I'm like, man, that was so fucking awesome right there. I mean, you're not getting that in a pop song. You're not getting that in a hip-hop song. Only in a rock song would you get a lyric that goes like that.
Yeah, and then the line after that is, it won't be long until winters freeze. So
exactly. And I was like, man, that is so awesome right there. Because it just, right there, with 8-10 words and a couple notes behind it, you painted a picture, bam, done like that.
Well, there's several songs that, like you say, songwriter, you try to do that. There's a song called Harvester of Souls, and that kind of goes back to like the World War II kind of thing where people were, it even starts out with an air raid siren, kind of like on War Pigs, And a lot of my stuff, could be compared to, I hear people say, oh, you got that Sabbath influence, and you got that Metallica influence, and and that song is kind of like that, like the whole World War II war machine kind of thing going on.
Yeah. You got some Black Sabbath, a little bit of Ozzy, little Zakk Wylde, and I've heard a lot of little things in there that I've caught that I'm like, oh, this reminds me of this. No, this reminds me of that. Song to song, which is, it's amazing. You can definitely see where some of your influences are, but you play it so well to yourself. It's awesome.
It is pretty obvious sometimes that I wear a lot of my influences on my sleeve. I try to at least make it a little bit original, my own sound, so when people hear it,
You absolutely do. As I said, like that classical piece, I just caught a hint of like a fade to black feel to it. You know, it had that nice guitar pick and sound to it, and with a little bit of heavy in the background. It's very, very enticing. I mean, it pulls you in. You can hear a little thing here and there where you can say, okay, well, I can hear kind of this and there.
I think the one that you're thinking of is a song called "Forgotten Prisoner." The classical one is by itself. It doesn't have any other music. It's just a classical guitar. The one you're talking about, I believe, is "Forgotten Prisoner." That lyric was written by my friend up in Indiana, Mike Riggins, and I asked him specifically. I said, "Man, I love this title of this song." I had the title, and I had the music. And I'm like, I got to write a song called "The Forgotten Prisoner," and I want it to be about, it's actually autobiographical, so it's one of the ones that's about myself. And I'm going, I told him what I wanted it to be and what the storyline kind of was, and he just wrote these lyrics and he sent it to me, and I just kind of rearranged them and edited around a little bit, and it's perfect. And it's got kind of a fade to black kind of sound to it. It's got a lot.
All right, so you know the one I'm talking about. It's kind of light guitar picking on part of it, with a little bit of deep darks in the backgrounds with that kind of melodic.
It's got like a choir.
Right. Almost like a choir, but it's got like kind of like a melodic guitar picking in the foreground.
Yeah, because the other one, the classical one, is just by itself. It's just a guitar by itself. Yeah, that's got to be the Forgotten Prisoner. Yeah.
Now,
then there's the
real quick question.
One.
Now, all these tracks on the album, did you do all the drum tracks, the bass tracks, everything yourself?
I play everything. I do all the vocals except for the song "Ghost," which the lyric. Half of the lyric was written by my friend Laura Moore, and she sang on it with me. And then the two lyrics for Darkness and The Forgotten Prisoner were written by my friend Mike, the lyrics. But all the music, I wrote all it. I played all the guitars. I played all the keyboards. I played all the bass parts. All the drums are programmed. I played the parts, though. So I had to
I'm
actually
going to tell you something right now. As a bass player, I'm very particular on the way, the bass should be played, and I'm into following the drums. I must commend you on your bass playing skills. Most guitar players underlook the bass lines in the songs.
Right.
On the songs that I heard, the pieces that I heard, your bass lines are perfect. They match the drums. They follow the fills. 100% impressed with it.
That actually
That's the way
means
to do
a
it.
lot. Well, that means a lot for several reasons because, like you said, number one, most guitar players are just going to sit there and ride one note. They're going to play like Nikki Sixx, and I get this actually from my older brother who is a bass player, and he's a phenomenal bass player. And, he's always kind of stressed that to me, like same thing you just said. Guitar players always just play like one note. How come they don't, they don't think like a bass player? So, when I would be doing bass parts, I'd be thinking of him saying that to me all the time. And we grew up listening to people like Paul McCartney, who was an amazing bass player, and, people who they're good in their songs. Like Gene Simmons is a really good bass player, but people don't notice that because they're too busy looking at his makeup and his fire breathing and all that, but he really is a good bass player. So, I was always interested in, like you just said, the underlining parts of, what complements. I don't want the bass to play the same thing the guitar's doing.
No.
I don't want the guitar. I don't want, sometimes I do 2 or 3 guitar parts, and I don't want all those guitars playing exactly the same stuff either. I think another mistake a lot of guitar players do too is when they're, I mix everything. I produce and mix everything, and when they do like the drums, they tend to mix the drums too low and the guitars too loud. And I'm the opposite. I like my drums to be loud and up front so people can hear them because that's what people are going to feel right away. Whenever you're tapping on your steering wheel in your car, you're doing that to the drums,
Exactly. Right. You're tapping to the drums, you're feeling the bass, and listening to the guitar and lyrics.
Right. I mean, without a guitar or a piano part, that's the melody. That's what, you start. You always start a riff or an idea with a guitar player or a keyboard player or whatever. But the bass player, they fill in those blank spots, and the drummers keep the time and the beat, and it's got to be all of it. It can't just be one thing,
Yeah, and that's a show of a true musician right there. I mean, and I've said it 100 times. I'm not the greatest bass player that's ever lived. I'm decent. I mean, I love playing, but I am tried and true to the old school version of a bass player. We're the foundation. We're what ties in the melody and the rhythm. And if you can keep the melody with the guitar player, but keep the rhythm with the drummer, then you are a good bass player.
Right. You gotta have that.
I got a little funny story about that too. I mean, I kind of learned how to play the bass as a result of being in bands with Thunder there. I mean, Thunder is selling himself short. He's a badass bass player. But after me and him split, after when I left Florida, I started doing recordings of my own, similar to what you did, except mine don't sound nearly as good as yours. But I was playing my bass, and I was doing it the way that Thunder would do it, like playing along with the drums.
Yeah.
And funny thing, Brian and I, former drummer of mine and Randy's.
Brian Lewis, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm surprised he hasn't called in yet. Brian, if you're listening, call. But
one of the best drummers I ever got to play with.
I hooked up with him again in South Carolina back in, I guess, 2003. Long story short, I wound up becoming a tour manager for a British rock band that Brian was driving the bus for. And at one point we jammed with these guys, and the bass player of that band, he heard me play. I happened to be playing bass with when we were jamming, and the bass player's like, "Damn, you are a good bass player." I'm like, "I'm not a bass player. I'm a guitar player and a singer."
It's really hard sometimes because I don't really think I'm a great bass player, and I don't really like to sing that much. I'm a guitar player. I write guitar parts. I play guitar pretty good, I think. I'm really good at writing riffs, and I'm a guitar player. But I don't have the luxury of having a full band or time, for people to come over all the time and work on tracks, and it's just easier sometimes for me to do it all myself. Another thing we were talking about songwriting is, like, a lot of times, but like that specifically, that song, That Forgotten Prisoner, it's in a weird minor key. It's a D minor, which any minor key right away kind of sounds creepy. So that's probably another thing that you're hearing in that song, along with that, kind of choir sound that I have going on in there too. So I try to make a lot of things creepy. Everybody knows I'm into creepy stuff. So.
There's nothing wrong with that at all. You know what I took in college? I took film and video in college. Majority reason why is for special effects, because I love creepy shit too, man. Yeah. I mean, the whole dark side of everything.
Yeah. Well, after doing this for 2 years, I have changed a lot in 2 years. So I admit, I'm ready for, something a little bit more fun and lighthearted. And the girl that I was telling you about that sings with me on that song, Ghost, I'm working on her CD right now with her, and her stuff is a lot more upbeat and happy, and it's kind of refreshing to not have to worry about all these dark imagery and, scary stuff all the time. Her stuff is more like a Fleetwood Mac kind of sound, or
That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And that'd be, that's something new and refreshing that, hasn't been overlaid 100 times either. It'd be nice to hear something with that kind of style.
Especially for somebody like her, because she's very young. She's like 19, so to have somebody that young with that kind of style of music is really different and refreshing. She's not doing like Britney Spears or anything like that kind of music.
That's awesome.
It's kind of cool. She writes all her own music and all her own lyrics, and all I do is like provide bass parts, drum parts, and I pretty much produce her, but she already has the songs wrote. So
does she?
How far along are you guys? You guys have anything recorded yet?
We've got 2 songs almost completed, and she's going to only be doing probably about 6, I think, like an EP kind of thing. And right now she's got a little bit of laryngitis or something going on with her voice, and she can't do any singing, so she's kind of nursing it until she gets better, and then, we'll get back to it. But 2 songs completed.
Why don't you talk with her and see if she'd like to come on the show and maybe debut a little something of hers? You got 2 songs, and maybe we can get her on here and talk with her a little bit.
She might be listening. I don't know. I mean, I'll get with her and see what she says about that.
I mean, it'd be awesome. I mean,
I have a question. When you say she's writing, when she's written the songs, I mean, how's she doing that? Does she play guitar or anything, or does she?
Yeah.
Kind of. Oh, she actually plays guitar.
Yes, she plays guitar. She knows like chords, and she writes her own stuff. She's really very talented. Has an incredible voice. Good songs, and the first time I heard her, I was just like, I got to record you. So.
That's
it was just something. And plus, like I said, I wanted to get away. I was finishing up mine, and I'm going, man, I've been doing this for 2 years, and everything's been so dark, and, evil, and I just wanted something.
And I'd love to hear a classical album from you. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that one's coming along pretty good. There's, like I said, there's about 5 or 6 songs that I have written. It's just a matter, when you do classical guitar, it's very, very hard to record those parts, because you could say like it's a 2-minute song or a 4-minute song or whatever. You could be just doing really great and then get to the end of the song and mess it up, and then you got to start all over again.
Right,
you know,
right.
It's not like you
can't punch in with that.
No, you can't start in the middle of a song or whatever. You got to start all over. And plus, it's all about getting the right sound of a natural sound, because there's no plugging in a classical guitar. You got to actually mic it, and you got to get the right feel of the room, and it's very hard to do. So I think that song that is on the CD, The Immortal Beloved one, it took me, I think there was quite a few takes of it, you know, and I recorded everywhere, you know, just to try and see which one would be. I mean, I recorded at my brother's house, I recorded at my other brother's house, I recorded at my house, and, you know, you just pick the best one. So
now with this new album you got kicking here, do you have any plans of going out and about and bringing this out live?
There's been a lot of people asking me about that, and I haven't done live shows in a very long time, and there's a reason for that, and people ask me all the time, how come we never see you play out live, or how come you're not in the band? Well, it's because I've had a lot of health issues in the last couple of years, and that's what kept me from finishing the album. So it's really kind of hard for me to get out and do live shows. It's not out of the question. It's just not something I haven't really thought a whole lot about. I would like to, because, you know, and you spend so much time writing and recording this stuff, you'd like to hear it live, blasting out really loud through a huge PA, you know, with other, you know, musicians. And I have a few people in mind that I would love to, you know, play with to make it come to life, you know, if that ever happens. But, you know, right now I'm just kind of in...
If that show does materialize, are you going to sing lead vocals, or are you going to have somebody else do it?
Yeah, I would do it. I would be, because I'm on the CD. So, I mean, I had entertained the idea of having different singers on all these songs. You know, I have a friend of mine up in Titusville. I don't know if you're familiar, if you know him or not. Craig Cease is a great, you know, vocalist. I thought about having him sing on a couple of these songs. And Paul Bender, who sings for Fun Pipe down here. He's been a friend of mine for, you know, over 20 years. I was in a band with him back in the 80s, and he's an amazing singer. And, you know, it's just, you know, schedules. You know, these guys are all in their own bands, and they play out a lot, and they're just so busy. It was just easier for me to do it all. You know, so I really don't think that they would all have time to just do that. You know, maybe one show, you know, who knows. But I just think it would be easier since I sang on it, you know.
Just to go ahead
and
keep
sang lead vocals
real.
before? Like at a show, have you ever sang lead vocals before?
Oh, yeah. I've been in a couple bands where I was, where I was the you know, a co-lead singer, kind of like a, you know, Kiss, like Paul, or like the Beatles,
right.
Even, you know. I mean, so, you know, it's not something I like to do. I'm more of a background kind of singer. I just like to play guitar. You know, that's my favorite thing in the world to do. I can sit and play guitar all day long and just be happy. You know, it never gets boring to me. I love to still learn stuff. I mean, I've been playing since 1979, and I still learn stuff every day. You know, and music theory, once you start learning that stuff, it opens up a whole new door of chords and scales and colors and sounds and just things. It's just, I never get tired of it. It's my favorite thing.
My favorite description of a song, of what a song, you know, what music is, was coined by Dream Theater. Images and words.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah, and I mean, it's just that kind of hit me. It's like your music. I mean, that's the picture, and the words. That's the captioning.
I would like to. I think what you guys are both hinting towards is, you know, I would like to collaborate with. You know, I mean, I collaborate with my older brother. We have a side project called Leave Awake, and there's a Facebook page and all that stuff. You can listen to some of the songs there. And we get together every couple of months or whatever. I mean, he wants to write more, and I'm always so busy doing my own stuff or working with somebody else or whatever, you know, it schedules. He's in a band again, so he's busy with his band.
Right.
I would like to start, you know, branching out and collaborating with other people. And, you know, I know Brian was down for Christmas, and he came by and saw me, and he got to hear this CD actually before it came out, so he already knew what it sounded like, and he's expressed interest in coming by and doing a couple of things. So, you know, but he's always on the road, and he's always, you know, working. And so, you know, maybe if I have some tracks ready for him, he can come by one day and do some stuff on it. We'll see, you know. I mean, I do enjoy working with other people. It's mostly schedules, you know. Everybody's schedule.
I'm hoping that I will be back in Central Florida by the time I'm 43. I'm 40.
Yeah.
So
Are you 42 right now?
Let's go ahead. What was that?
Are you 42 right now?
I'm sorry?
No,
I'm
he's
not.
40.
You were hoping to be back in Central Florida by the time you were 43. I said, are you 42 right now?
I wish. I'm 40.
Oh.
And this is like the only context that I wish that I was 42 instead of 40.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and take a break, and we're gonna play. We're gonna play another song, and we'll be right back. Tell me which song to play there, Randy. I have.
I think I. Go ahead.
I have One Foot in the Grave and Ghost.
Go ahead and play Ghost. That's the power ballad that me and Laura sang off the new CD. That's the second single. The first one was Shallow that you played earlier. This is the second single that came off of it. And this was a last-minute song that barely made it on the record. It was the last song that I did. And I'd never done a duet before.
Yeah, and I got to admit, I haven't listened to any of these songs. So, I mean, I'm hearing them for the first time, and that's, bad planning on my part, but I've been really busy this week.
This song was actually written for somebody else, and they didn't like it. So I said, well, your loss, my gain. And, I think that they made a bad mistake because it's a really, really good song. So.
Well, here we go, guys.
Here it is.
The name of the song's called
This is a long
Chapman.
song. So crank the volume up and kick back and go grab yourself a beer and get ready because this song is awesome. And here it goes. We'll be right back on the William Thunder Show.
Lying all alone in bed, thinking about the things we said. I can't stop thinking about you. This time I know for sure, once you walked out that door, there's nothing left that we can do. No matter how
Thunder Show. That was Ghost by Randy Chapman, and what was the young lady's name that was singing it with you? Do we have Thunder? Do we have Randy?
Thunder is here. Thunder is here.
Thunder's here. Do we have Randy?
Her name was Laura Moore.
Laura Moore.
We lost you there for a second, Randy.
Yeah, I don't. I think the phone's like a delay or something because I was like talking and nothing was coming through. So.
No, but hold on. I gotta give you both props. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, very cool. I like that. That girl's got a beautiful voice.
And she's got a really unique tone to her voice right there.
I often tell her. I said, you sound much older. She reminds me of like a 30-year-old or something. Like she's been doing it for a long time and she hasn't. So.
Well, she doesn't have that like crap that
the whiny tone to it, which a lot of young singers have.
Right.
She's more natural, and it's not.
And
I think a lot of the singers you're talking about, it's like a lot of the people you're talking about are probably put together by record companies,
Exactly.
Right.
Like the whole thing. All right. Well, and I know this has nothing to do with rock music, but like the whole Taylor Swift thing is that whole whiny, nasally. Oh, are you kidding me? This is not Disney Channel. We don't need a 14-year-old singing here. No, that had some substance and had good tone to it, and it wasn't nasally and whiny.
Yeah, what was interesting is, like I said, she writes her own songs. And when I had that song, like I said, I had originally wrote the music for that a couple of years back for someone else that, asked me to write some songs for his CD that he was putting out. And I wrote 3 songs. That was one of them, and he didn't like any of them. And ironically, all 3 of those songs are on this CD. I just rewrote, some of the parts, and that was one of them. And I didn't have that whole song finished. And I went to her and I said, "Do you think that you could, write some lyrics to this?" And all I had was the first verse and the chorus part where it's living with the ghost of you and all that stuff. She came up with the next verse all by herself and her own melody lines and everything. And it was just nice to not have to, coach her too much. I mean, she'd never really done any recording or anything like that, so it was just, I think she was here for 2 hours that day, doing that vocal part. So it was pretty quick for her, and for somebody who's never done it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
She really does have a mature quality to her voice right there. I mean, you can tell that she's been singing for a long time. And
it's one of my favorite songs that I've ever wrote. I admit that. I really like that song a lot, too.
The one thing that I really liked about it was the fact that, you didn't use a lot of effects on her voice.
We did that on purpose. We did that because we tried it, and it just didn't sound natural. It sounded really over-processed and too much reverb and too much delay and too much echo and all that. And it was like, no, that's not how you should sound. You should sound normal and natural, So
exactly.
That was intentional.
And that's my biggest problem with a lot of these people, these singers, these young, especially female singers these days. They all sound like the same person because of all these effects that they're processing. I mean, they might as well just have one.
Well, it's also I think it's also a certain recording technique that a lot of people. It's kind of almost what they call cookie cutter. Everything is done the same way with the same equipment, with the same studio, with the same producers, the same formula. You know what I mean?
The same songwriters, the same song with different lyrics.
Yeah. So it's nice to hear somebody who actually writes their own stuff. Not that Taylor Swift doesn't write her own stuff, but it was just really refreshing to me.
If you turn to age 30 and you're still singing songs about high school, enough's enough, and quit your whining. I just can't stand it. Look, I live in Middle Tennessee now, so there's more country stations than there are rock stations. And unfortunately, one of my sons, and I won't disown him because he's a country music fan, but I hear a lot of country music, and I swear to you, I will shoot myself because of Taylor Swift.
Well, I get asked a lot. I get asked a lot to write different styles, and country is one of them.
There's nothing wrong with country music. I love country music. I cannot stand Taylor Swift.
I've wrote probably two or three country songs, and it's definitely a lot harder than people think. you know.
A while back, when I'm going to kind of echo what you just said about it's a lot harder than a lot of people think. A while back, I was living in Tennessee. You know, this is around the same time when I was recording, like what I told you about before. But I was subbing for a country music, you know, a local. He was out of Nashville, country guy, and I tried to do country music guitar, and I couldn't do it because I mean, there's so many. I mean, look, they're playing leads throughout the entire song.
It's a lot harder than people think, and I actually started studying it a few years back. It's called chicken picking, is what you're thinking of, like Brad Paisley and Keith Urban and stuff like that do. And it's very, very hard because it's actually, the technical term is hybrid picking, where they pick with their fingers and a pick at the same time. And it's sort of kind of like classical guitar, but with classical guitar, you're doing nothing but fingers.
Picking, right.
With hybrid picking or chicken picking, like they call it in country music, it's with the pick and fingers, and it's really hard. And, you know, a lot of the licks on your left hand, you have to sync up with what you're doing on your right hand. And, you know, that's one of the things I liked about classical guitar. It was a lot.
It's almost like playing a piano. It's almost like being a piano.
I wasn't.
Yeah, because you got the bass lines on one hand and the melody on the other. Exactly.
You have to be so ambidextrous.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking, all right, well, this hand's doing this while this hand's doing this. And that's one thing about classical guitar. It's a
Thunder, can you fix your mic? It sounds like you're inside It sounds like you're in a tin can.
Well, I might be. What if I am? All right, you got a problem with that? Is that better?
A lot better now.
Okay. But okay, think of classical guitar. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, I didn't want, you know, I started helping this guy record and everything, and I was trying. I gave it my all, but I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to stop fooling myself. I can't do this. About a couple of days later, this guy calls me back, and he's like, well, my studio bass player just you know, bailed on me. Can you help me out there? I said, yeah, that I can do. So
that was one of the things I liked the most about classical guitar is it's a lot more challenging, you know, and that's what I wanted to do as a musician. I wanted to challenge myself. I didn't want to just play, you know, the easiest thing or the most simplest thing. I wanted to challenge myself and be the best I could be, you know.
Well, that's the one thing as being a musician and to be the best is to know that you're never the best and keep trying to do things that's going to challenge you. It's almost like
golf. It's like in the game of golf, you're actually competing against yourself. Well, music's the same way. It's like there is nobody, you know, this guitar player's not better than that guitar player. You're just competing with yourself. You just want to be better than you were yesterday, you know?
That's the best I've ever heard it put. I mean, honestly, that's the best I've ever heard it put. Because, you know what? There's always going to be a guy that does something different than you. That one person would say, well, he's better than you are. But you're going to do something that the next guy says, no, he's better than he is.
It's really all opinion. You know?
It is, and the thing is, you know what? It's all about how you feel at the end of the day right there. If you're putting out what you think is the best product that you can do.
That's something that I get asked all the time. I get asked that all the time. It's like, you know, how do you know when you're done? When I'm happy with it. If I'm not happy with it, maybe that's why it took 2 years for it to come out, because I was never happy with it, you know?
Right.
So.
Right.
Well, you know, and that's like me. You know, I was never happy with my bass playing. I mean, I'm not unhappy with it, but I always thought that I was average until one moment we had a video that surfaced, you know, that I saw about 5 years ago. And a guy that I respected as a really, really, really good bass player in Brevard County was filming us doing this show. And in the background, you can hear him. This is back when we, you know, video cameras had the microphones on them, the big shoulder-carrying ones. You know what I'm talking about? And you can hear in the microphone, as we were coming up to a certain riff on a song, he's like, no, wait. Yeah, he's good, but wait till you see this.
Well, unfortunately, though, the other side of that is sooner or later you have to know when enough is enough, and you have to go, it's not going to get in, this is the best it's going to be. I mean, sometimes, you know, you can sit there, I've done this with guitar solos, you know, you'll just keep doing it over and over and over, and it's like, man, the first one was good. Why did I keep doing it?
Why did I keep fucking it up, right?
Yeah, you just get worse and worse, you know, so sometimes you just got to know when to say, that's good right there, you know. And a lot of times, for me personally, it takes someone else hearing it and going, that's awesome. What's wrong with it? Why do you want to do anything else to it? Leave it alone, you know. So And I don't always have that luxury of somebody, to bounce it off of. I don't have a producer. I don't have anybody. Sometimes I'll play it for friends, When Brian was here back in December and he heard the CD before it came out, he loved it. He said everything's great, So that kind of made me feel like, okay, then this sounds like, it's pretty much done. I just got to finish a couple of things, Not that, he's the be-all, end-all of, the decision-making for me. But you play it for a few different people, and you start to get a feel of what other people think about it, and you go, maybe this is done. Maybe I've just been beating myself up too much over it,
Right. No, and I understand that too, Yeah. I mean, we've all done this, when you're in a band or something, you'll sit there and you'll play a song and rewrite it, 100 times and go back to the third version you came up with because that's the one that really works.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's why, you got to keep all the different takes and, go back and listen to them all and,
And there's plenty of musicians out there who do way too much, and you can hear it, You hear
well,
you know what, that really didn't need to be there. Like one of the greatest songs, is played on the radio, Hotel California.
Love it.
The end of the song is about 10 minutes too long, because how many times do you have to play that same freaking riff?
I don't know. I'm a big fan of that. I just heard it on the radio.
I love the song.
Love it.
Yeah, I love Hotel California too. I mean, I'm sick of it.
I love the song, but seriously,
if I ever hear it again, I'll be all right. But I still love the freaking song.
I don't know. I never get tired of it. So.
Maybe that's just me then.
Yeah,
I was like,
it's
okay,
an opinion thing again.
They're like assholes.
What now?
So, but it's like the songs. I draw from that stuff. Like when I listen to Hotel California, I can hear, oh wow, a little parts of the Eagles in my music, or I'll hear little parts of Leonard Skinner or Judas Priest or whoever it is that like there's a song, that song Devil in Disguise. I got to the guitar solo section of it, and I didn't know what to do. And I tried everything from, ripping and shredding to playing slower like Eric Clapton or Yngwie Malmsteen or whatever, and none of it was working for me. So for some reason, as I was listening to it, I thought, well, why don't you just do something completely different? There's a couple of songs like this on here, and this is one of them. And I thought of my friend Chad back in high school, who was a big Judas Priest fan, and he always loved KK Downing. And KK was, pretty famous for using his tremolo arm a lot and just making a lot of noise. Yeah. So I thought, well, why don't I just try that in this song? And it really fit. So that's what's on the record. There was another one, I think I told you guys back in January or December when I was on. I think it was December, and we were talking about guitar players back then, and it was that song October Rust. When I got to that solo section, I didn't know what to do there either, so I was actually studying some Japanese guitar scales at the time, and I told you guys this story back then, and I just applied that, Japanese guitar scale to that solo section of that song, and it sounds odd and weird, but when you hear it now, had I not told you it was a Japanese guitar scale, you would have never known.
You would never know. Right.
Yeah, you'd be like, oh, that sounds really weird, but I don't know why, So.
But it sounds good. I don't know what it is, but it's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. You hear it and you go, there's something there. I'm not sure what it is, and it's little subtleties like that Ghost song. There's a lot of orchestra in that, and I did all that orchestra, and, if you take it out of there, you definitely notice that it's gone. But with it added in there, you go, wow, that just sounds really beautiful. It kind of adds to it, So little things, like you said, double tracking guitars, triple tracking guitars. That song, Forgotten Prisoner, it has, I think it has 3 guitar parts, 4 if you count the solos. It has an acoustic guitar, it has a clean channel guitar, and it has a crunchy electric guitar. So you layer all that stuff, and that's what you hear. And people don't know exactly. They just hear the song, and they go, hey, I like it. They don't know all the work they put into it.
Well, see, this is what I love about this show right here is you have someone of your caliber of knowledge of music right there, and you're just explaining pretty much how you put it together right there. I mean, it is a puzzle piece right there. People, turn on the radio and they think that it just happens, that people walk in there and they strap up and they play a song they wrote the day before and now you got a record.
Right.
But no, I mean,
I know a lot of people like that whole live feel where a whole band sets up in one room and they all record at one time, and that's all great and stuff, but
actually, Iron Maiden recorded Brave New World that way.
A lot of bands do, and there's nothing wrong with that if you're trying to get that vibe or that feel, but a lot of times you're going to have to go back and overdub, a guitar solo or fix a vocal part or, something's bleeding through another mic or whatever, and it's just better sometimes. And I don't know, I like the whole process of creating, and I would never take away. I don't think there's one way to record.
No, not at all.
I think whatever works for you on this album might not be the same on the next album. You know what I mean?
I just love how you put this all together yourself.
I do believe that when you're playing a guitar solo, there's no such thing as punching in. You play the solo from start to finish, or you start over again. Basically, that when I record a guitar, like even the crappy recordings that I have, and I'll play them on the air one of these days. But even the crappy recordings that I have, my solos are not punched in. They're played from start to finish.
I don't punch in solos either. I don't believe in, doing half a solo and then doing another half. No, I don't. No, it's always right from the beginning of the solo till the end of the solo.
Right.
Yeah. No, I don't
I
like that.
I agree with you. I do the same thing with my 3-second bass fills. There's no point in doing that half and half.
Well, I will punch in parts, but I'll never punch in guitar solos. You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah. I was just trying to be funny there. Thanks for playing, guys. I actually saw something on Facebook.
Hold on, Thunder, this is just for you.
Go ahead. Thank you very much. And I'm going to tell you something right now. You guys should thank us. Us bass players. If it weren't for bass players, your girls wouldn't be dancing.
Oh, man, you saw that on Facebook. I seen that the other day.
Thank you.
You saw that on Facebook.
Wow. Hey, man, why does everybody bash the bass players, man? We're the coolest people in the band.
I don't know. I always tell people if it wasn't for the melody writers, you guys wouldn't have anything to play to.
If it wasn't for us, you guys would just be up there strumming your guitar and look like you're in a coffee shop.
There's not too many bass solos that interest me.
Billy Sheehan. Come on,
Billy Sheehan, Cliff Burton.
Don't put Billy Sheehan in there. He's a guitar player.
Yeah, he really is. I would love to hear him play guitar. Just guitar, it would be great.
I would too, but no. Cliff Burton, Les Claypool, Louis Johnson.
Now I've always said that if Cliff Burton was still alive, Metallica would be a lot better.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Have you ever actually listened to Louis Johnson?
No.
Okay, do me a favor, Randy. When we get off tonight, I want you to YouTube Louis Johnson. He is the most ridiculous, awesome bass player. When it comes to slap bass,
I make fun. I love bass players. I love drummers. I love all musicians. I think everybody's important to their craft. Without one, like I said earlier, it would just be a missing piece of the puzzle. Right. I think the one thing that I probably wish that I was better at would be keyboards. I mean, I would love to be able to play like a baby grand piano like Elton John or like Billy Joel or something like that. I wish I could play like that. But
damn right. I mean, I can kind of take it on the keyboard, but I can't really, I can't, I can play Home Sweet Home by Motley Crue. But as far as
my uncle is a piano virtuoso.
I can play enough to get by and fill in spots on my songs, and but I'm just not very proficient, and I wish I was,
My uncle actually played keyboards at Woodstock.
It's something I just wish I could work on it more probably and get better at it, but
That's the hardest. I mean, in my opinion, besides the drums, because drums is such a ambidextrous, total event. You're using your feet, your hands, and it's just constant movement. Piano's the same way. I mean, with the foot pedals and especially now with a piano more than drums, you've got melody kicking in there too. So if you hit a wrong note, it's different than doing a rim shot. You can catch up from a rim shot and keep going, and you're going to have a couple people out there who know music and be like, oh, he kind of missed there for a second. You hit a wrong note on a piano.
You're right. Keyboard is like, because you're playing bass lines on one hand, melody on the other, and it's like it is difficult to keep up.
Well, there's some keyboard players out there that will actually, they're a 5-piece band, but they only have one guitar player. These keyboard players will actually live they'll play a rhythm guitar player, a rhythm guitar part to where the you're soloing, and so they don't sound like some of these bands that will record a rhythm guitar track, but have absolutely no no rhythm guitar when the guitar player is soloing live.
Well, one of
Go ahead.
One of the most famous bands is of that kind of thing is Emerson, Lake and Palmer. It's like they were a three-piece band, you know. So like when
really?
Greg Lake sometimes, Greg Lake would sometimes he would play keyboards or he would play bass and sing, or he would play guitar and sing. But they never had a guitar player and a bass player at the same time. And the Doors were sort of the same way. They didn't start using, you know, I don't think they ever had a bass player live. They didn't really use bass parts that much in the studio until like L.A. Woman. I mean, they were on a few songs, but most of the bass lines were done on the keyboards.
What about Rush?
Well, Geddy Lee played bass.
I know.
Geddy Lee.
I'm just saying, you know, I mean.
Geddy Lee has like 3 invisible arms.
I have no idea how he does what he does right there.
You know, it's the weirdest thing I like about Rush when it comes to that stuff is they just do stuff in the studio and they'll write it, and then it's like when it comes time to go play live, they be like, oh, now we got to figure out how to do it, you know?
And they do it.
Yeah, and then they got to, oh, wow, didn't think about this, you know, we're going on tour, I better learn how to do this. But yeah, he's got like foot pedals, keyboards, bass, vocals, you know, kitchen sink, you know.
Everything right there. He's doing dishes and cooking while he's playing and singing and hitting the keyboard.
He literally is.
I mean, right foot.
He literally is with their new stage setup.
You know, he's actually
their new stage setup. He's got the chicken things behind him, the rotisserie chicken things going on. So.
Set it and forget it.
There you go.
Oh my goodness. God, love it. Somebody say something. We're on the radio.
I'm going to give out.
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm going to give out the telephone number. You know, it's not too many people in the chat room anymore. They all kind of disappeared on us. But my other number there is like, you know, there's still a lot of people listening. The number is 646-716-6135. Call in, stump us on a metal trivia question, and you'll win an autographed copy of the CD. After about like another 5 minutes or so, I'm going to ask a question. Do I win a CD if I stump you, Randy?
No, you're not. You work for the company. You're not allowed to win. Didn't you see the fine print?
Well, look, I wish right now off the top of my head I could pull it off because I have the voice for it, but the terms and conditions of this contest.
That would be great, right.
You cannot be an employee or a member of the Will and Show family.
Well, you know, that's actually funny that, you know, because we were talking about a new CD and all that stuff. That's one of the things that you notice when you first start. I mean, because this is my 4th CD. When you start putting out CDs, all the people that you know come out of the woodwork and they want you to, can you give me a CD? Can I have a CD? And it's
right.
like, people forget that costs money.
Look, man, I'm trying to make money here, not give it away here.
Yeah, and it costs money. You know, it costs a lot of money to get these things pressed up.
It does.
So.
Well, I'm gonna go on there, and I'm gonna buy a CD.
Yeah, it's not that much. It's like what, $10 or something like that. I think it's $8.99. You know, so.
You know what? Well deserved for a phenomenal musician. And you know what, man? Just your knowledge that you're spreading out today, and you know, something about it. I mean, I just love everything that's going on with. And I can't believe that you put all these tracks together by yourself. I mean, to be able to be that diverse of a musician, you're not only a guitar player, a keyboard player, a bass player. They don't understand how much work goes into that. I mean, the studio time must be.
I'm hurt, Thunder. I'm hurt because I've done the exact same thing before, and you've heard it. It's granted, it's not as good as what he's done, but I've done it. So what's up?
You haven't done it to that scale. You have not put 13 songs together, a whole CD mastered down.
No,
I've done that. I've done that on 4 CDs, but I've recorded and wrote over 300 songs.
And Bill, I've given you your props 100 times, man.
I just gotta give you some crap there, Thunder. You know that.
You know, whatever. You give me crap all the time. Hell, I was in a band with you. I've heard a lot of your crap. Anyway.
Hey, I'm surprised we hadn't heard from Brian tonight.
I know.
Yeah, I know.
Where is Brian?
He must be
probably
driving.
asleep somewhere. He's probably asleep somewhere in a hotel.
I think he was in Kentucky or something, last I heard.
No. He's getting... There's probably
So that's the one thing that we all have in common here. We've all had the graces to play with Brian. And in my opinion, he's one of the best drummers, if not the best drummer I've played with.
I've known Brian for a very long time. We grew up in the same neighborhood. We were in our first bands together. One of our fondest memories, we always laugh about this, we were just talking about it recently, is we were in a band, and Bill, I don't know if you remember St. Mary's Catholic Church.
Absolutely, in Rockledge, Florida.
Okay. Yeah.
I actually went through my first communion there.
Me and Brian were in a heavy metal band, and we played there at the fair they have there every year, the St. Mary's Fair, and we were on the fairgrounds. We were playing Black Sabbath songs at the fair for St. Mary's. It's the craziest thing. I know, we're up there playing Black Sabbath songs. So that was
That's kind of ironic, because me and Thunder's first show was at Divine Mercy, another big Catholic church in Merritt Island.
Cocoa Beach, right?
No, that was Merritt Island. That's the golden pyramid and dome right there.
Yeah. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, God bless America. Ages ago.
Yep.
So, Randy, were you born in Brevard County?
Yeah, I was born in Rockledge, grew up here, still live here, at home, and I like it here. I like Woodstock. I like Florida. I love Florida. I mean, I can't imagine living anywhere else. I like, visiting other places. My favorite place in the world is New York City, but I wouldn't want to live there. I love living here. I like the weather here. I saw Will's having a lot of, problems with snow and stuff, and I don't have that problem.
Yeah.
It's been really beautiful down here today,
Yeah.
That's right.
So, believe me, there's no place on earth right now that I would rather be than in Merritt Island, Florida.
Yeah, I love it. I love it here. I mean,
you know what? I had to contact the Chamber of Commerce and sell them that drop for $100 or something.
That's right.
I think the only beef that I have is like the music scene here is not what it used to be. I mean, at one time there used to be a really big original music scene here.
Oh, it was awesome.
But it's getting back to that from what we understand, though.
Huh?
It's getting back to that from what we understand.
Originals? I don't know about that.
Yeah, originals.
I mean, there's a few bands that are,
Well,
but it wasn't like back in the day. It wasn't like it was back in the day. I mean, I mean,
right.
Back in the day, you could go to a different club. Like on a Friday night, you could go to 6 different clubs and hear 6 different bands, all completely different.
All playing originals, yeah. And that was
and go to Orlando or even in Cocoa Beach, Cape Canaveral area.
Right.
Yeah,
there's a lot of good
clubs.
bands. There are, I will say that there are a few bands that are trying, that are trying to make it happen and sticking to their guns, and that's great. It's not really the band's fault though. It's the clubs. There's just not any clubs around here.
Back
in the day you had Brassies and you had
the Power Chickens.
The Power Chicken, the Power Station.
Well, there'd be 5 or 6 different places you could go, and like you said, all the way from Cape Canaveral to Melbourne, and there would be different bands, different style of music, everything, and it was all original, no matter where you went. I mean, even the Power Station you were talking about, if you went in there and played covers, they'd laugh you off the stage.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And nowadays it's the other way around. If you go in there and play originals around here, they're going to go, "What are you doing?" They're not very receptive.
Play some Nickelback.
You can name so many bands from back in the day, like the Scooby Doos, the Tin Can Jets. I mean,
Giant Harry Nevis.
Giant Harry Nevis.
My band.
Iguanas of Love.
Screaming Iguanas of Love.
What was the band that did the song On the Belly? Holy shit! Spinning
Infants.
There's so much music that was going on back then. I mean,
my band, Riff Raff, was all original.
Oh, absolutely.
So it was just, AWOL,
Dead Serious,
Fleshy-Headed Mutants.
Fleshy-Headed Mutants. I haven't heard that name in so long.
Tons
you could go to the Hustler. You could go to the station, the Power Station. You could go to Brass's. You could go to the pub in Cocoa Beach.
Played at all those places.
Jenny's,
County Line, it's still open.
Yeah,
and then we would go over to Orlando.
I'll tell you what, with the exception of like the Strip, with the exception of like the Strip and Los Angeles, I would challenge anybody to to give me a better local music scene than what we had back in the day in Central Florida. Because
it was pretty diverse. That was the
it was.
Thing. You would have everything from new wave to blues to metal to, I mean, I can think of metal bands.
Hit the beach and coconuts, and you'd have a Jimmy Buffett cover band.
Yeah.
A couple 50 and 60-year-old guys up there playing whatever. Yeah,
it's very frustrating now. I mean, I'm not a fan of going out to bars and stuff, and I don't really like cover bands. I understand that there's a need for them, and I know that people going out want to dance and party and have a good time and hear their favorite songs and all that stuff.
But you miss what was where people wanted to come out and they wanted to hear that original song with the original hooks and everything. I can remember seeing Tabitha's Secret back in the day.
Yeah, me too.
And a song called 3 A.M., which later became a band called Matchbox 20.
All right.
I mean people who are listening who might
Seven Mary 3 came out of Orlando,
Florida.
Right. Exactly. There's a lot of
Mary
bands
3. That's an evolution of music from what we're talking about to that kind of music. But
funny,
Seven Mary 3, Matchbox 20, that was all Orlando music.
And if you think about it, all the bands that bands cover now, I'll just use Tom Petty for example. If five bands on a Friday night play a Tom Petty song, Tom Petty had to start writing originals, or he wouldn't be around today. You know what I mean? So at some point in your life, you got to go, I'm not going to copy anybody anymore. I'm going to be myself and do my own music. So all those songs that people hear, when I'm driving down the road and I hear American Girl by Tom Petty, I go, man, I'm glad Tom Petty wrote that song. Because if he kept just playing Beatles songs, we would have never had American Girl.
Right, exactly.
You know what? People don't think about that. I mean, it's I've been at I've played shows when people are like play some Skinner or play some whatever, and that I don't have a tip jar, but I mean, put a $10 bill in my hand or buy me a pitcher of beer. Maybe I'll think about it.
I was always fond of playing a cover because you wanted to, not because.
Right.
The club owner said you have to play this kind of music or you can't play at my club. And usually the cover that we would pick would be something obscure, off the wall, and it was just because we liked that band. I can remember remember the song by Nazareth, Hair of the Dog. I can remember playing that when nobody else would play that. I can remember playing a lot of songs like that nobody else would touch. I was in metal bands back in when I was doing covers back in the early 80s, and we would do Iron Maiden songs, Dio songs in a bar. You try that now, ain't going to happen.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's
I'm about to throw Thunder under the bus here, along with Brian and our guitar player of Madstone. Back in the day when that band was together, I came up with this idea. Why don't we cover Land of Confusion? And everybody told me that, dude, Phil Collins, no.
You know what cover I wanted to do, and I still want to do to this day?
Who's laughing now?
Disturbed, fuck you. One of my favorite bands, but anyway. The one cover that I wanted to do, and I still would love to do, which is an obscure song, but it's Faith No More, Surprise You're Dead.
I would
love to that's a song that I would love to cover. Honestly.
I've tried doing this forever, and you would not do it.
You're right, so we're even. Land of Confusion, Surprise You're Dead.
Anyway. And it's a song about vampires.
I don't really think too much about covers unless I'm, I run, I might, sometimes I'll be just playing my guitar and I'll stumble on something and I'll go, oh, that's, Judas Priest or something. It trips me out when that happens, too, sometimes. Like, I was sitting here one day and I was playing something, and it ended up being like a Black Sabbath song, and I'm going, wow, I don't even know that song, and here I am playing it, because you just stumble on stuff sometimes, when you're just jamming. So.
Yes.
Well, you know what? It's getting close to the end of the show right here. We got 4 minutes left.
All right.
Randy, it's been fun, man. It's been fun. All I'm saying here is you got 4 minutes right now, live airtime. Tell them where to get your CD, man. People, I'm telling you right now. Go ahead. Tell them where to get it.
Well, again, any of my CDs. I got 4 of them out now. Till Death Do Us Part was the first one. No One Gets Out Alive was the second one. One Foot in the Grave was the last one, and this one is Cursed. They're all on iTunes. They're on Amazon. They're on CD Baby, CD Universe. You can contact me. I will sell them directly to you. A lot of people ask me to autograph them. I mean, it's kind of weird when I do that, you know, but if that's what they want, you know, I'll autograph them and whatever, you know.
It comes along with being a guitar god and music virtuoso.
Well, I mean, I appreciate that.
Guys, do yourself a favor. Get in touch with him. Get on the computer, buy the CD. I'm telling you now, the bits and pieces I have heard are amazing. You need to own the CD right here. And understand that what you're listening to this is like a one-man band right here. He has put every track on every song on the CD, except for the female vocals, and that's totally amazing. And it's bass player to bass player.
Well, I was recently contacted. I get contacted by different people from different countries. And in Germany, I was doing like a thing for a magazine over there, and they were asking me, you know, they were saying something about how, the CD is so good, and it's like metal and all that, and it should be like with everybody. If you like this kind of music, you got to have this in your collection. So it's kind of neat to hear somebody say that my CD should be right next to like Accept or Judas Priest or something. You know, it's kind of
it does. It deserves to be up there. And I'm telling you, and I'm telling everybody out there who's listening, the diversity on this album is amazing. You're not going to hear the same thing twice on this album, but you're going to hear metal. You're going to hear real metal music, and the whole thing's awesome.
Well, I will say I definitely play all the parts, so it's not like it was all just flew in there. It was like, I have to literally sit down and plug in and play everything. So.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. We've got less than a minute, and we're going to wrap it up with the song "One Foot in the Grave" off of Randy Chapman's album "Curse." You know where to get it.
"One Foot in the Grave" was the last CD. That was the album "One Foot in the Grave."
Oh, well, this is the song that I have.
yeah, it's off of the album "One Foot in the Grave."
Okay.
All right. Well, listen, guys, thanks for listening, and Randy, thank you so much for being on the show tonight, man. And
thanks, guys.
nothing but the best to you, man.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks.
All right,
and
Randy,
I'll be calling in, man.
All right. I'll be calling you in just a few minutes, Randy. We're going to take it out with "One Foot in the Grave." Good night from the Will and Thunder Show. everybody next week. Next week we got Romeo Rodriguez and his book about band names that I never thought that I would ever write. Craziest band names you've ever heard. Check it out. Will and Thunder Show. Good night.
Thank you. Oh, you know
so
what?
With that, we're going to go ahead and take a break, and we're going to come back with our guest, Mr. Randy Chapman. The song that we're going to play right now is called "Shallow," and we'll be back in just a few minutes on the Will and Thunder Show.
Deep in the darkness, when
All right, welcome back to the Will and Thunder Show. That was Shallow by the one, the only Randy Chapman, guitar virtuoso of Brevard County, Florida. What's going on, Randy? Randy?
Hello there. Come on in.
Randy, are you there?
I guess we don't have him in yet.
It looks like he's on, according to my board. Hold on. Randy Chapman, are you there?
We've had a few technical difficulties with this caller situation the last couple of weeks here.
Yeah, we have. I'm sending a message on Facebook. Yeah, that was I like that song.
Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, actually, I listened to a little thing on YouTube earlier today. It was kind of a montage of what was coming out, I believe, on this CD right here. And there are so many different styles and influences in this thing. And they're all, I mean, from what I've heard, it sounds excellent.
What's up, fellas?
There he is.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, what's going on? I don't know what it was.
What's
going on, Will? How you doing, brother?
Pretty good. I was sitting there talking to the man on Facebook. Are you there? What's going on?
yeah, I seen that. I saw that. How's it going, Thunder?
It's going good, Randy. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Listening to you guys debate football and Redskins and gay people.
Actually, we weren't really debating football. It was more or less, you know, these things happen to tie into football.
Exactly.
Right.
But hey,
so anyway, how you making it, man? Got this new CD coming out, man. How you feeling about it?
Well, actually, it came out back in January, the second week in January, and it was a long time coming because I had all kinds of different things going on in the last couple years medically and just writer's block and everything you could think of happened. So it took a long time to get this one finished, but it had been done, you know, almost. I mean, like 80, 75, 80%, 90%, and then I would stall out for 2 or 3 months and just couldn't finish it for whatever reason. So it was actually supposed to come out back in October, and finally got it down to where I had like 3 or 4 songs left at the end of the year, and I was like, I got to get this has got to get done. You know, it's way overdue. And I think it came out in January 11th, I think, somewhere in there, 13th. It was the second week of January.
Nice, so, nice. And where can people pick this up at?
Right now, just you can get it on iTunes. You can get it on Amazon, CD Baby, CD Universe. It's all over the internet. I sell it. You know, you can get a hold of me, you know, on Facebook or email me, you know, so I can sell it directly to you.
Excellent, excellent. You've got
we're going to have the
tons of avenues right there.
We're going to have the link on the Facebook page up for the show. We're going to have the links on there. But I also want to tell people, you know, we mentioned at the start of the show about this little contest that we're going to be having tonight. Basically, you people, the listeners, and, you know, based on what I'm looking at here, we've got quite a few people just listening, plus the people that aren't in the chat room. So, I mean, there's, you know, a good amount of people out there listening. Call in. The telephone number to call in is 646-716-6135. You press 1 to get into the queue to talk to us. Stump us. Stump Randy. Stump Randy. It can be questions about, you know, basically heavy metal, or if you know Randy personally, it can be Randy questions. If you stump Randy, he's going to defer to us, and if you stump all of us, you get an autographed copy of Randy Chapman's new CD called Cursed. And
you there?
Yeah.
Will.
Okay. All right, you paused everything. I'm like, okay, wait a minute here.
I thought I heard somebody else. I thought I heard somebody else starting to talk. but yeah, it'll be an autographed CD of
Randy Chapman's new CD.
I'm having a brain fart tonight.
Apparently, Will's been drinking.
Me?
Oh, mercy. He doesn't drink, he swills.
Oh, I see. No,
but anyway, yes. But as I was telling Will just a little bit ago, I went on YouTube today, and you had that little montage, little prelude to the CD that you have on there.
Right.
Man, it's wide open. There's so many. I mean, it's awesome.